These days, there are a lot more people interested in solo travel. Traveling alone can empower you. It can develop a stronger sense of self and confidence. It can open a whole new world of travel freedom for you. Today, I'm going to share with you my top 10 travel tips for things you should know when planning your first solo trip. Number 1, blending in. I always like to research the cultural etiquette and dress code of the country I'm traveling to. Dressing to blend in can help people be more accepting of your foreign presence there. It can also show respect, as well as it can say a lot about your economic and cultural background. As a female traveling alone, the last thing I like to do is dress provocatively. I always dress conservatively because I don't want to call a lot of attention to myself. I don't want to get a lot of unwanted attention from men, and I just don't want to stand out as a target or as a tourist. Me personally, I like to dress down and a little more backpackerish, and that's because by dressing more like a backpacker, that's the antithesis of a rich tourist. And rich tourists always attract tourist scams. They also attract higher prices when you haggle. Number 2, reserve in advance. Even though these days I like to wing a lot of my travels, or I have to wing a lot of my travels, there was a time when I actually used to plan a lot of my itinerary. Look at all these tabs right there. That's me planning. Tabs, more tabs right here, see? That was before I started pulling out chapters of my guidebook. Whether I'm winging it or not, the first thing that I always like to do is I like to have my accommodations already reserved or booked for me. And that's like the first couple of nights there. When I come into a country, whether I'm facing language barriers or like cultural differences, or like there's just a lot more chaos that I planned for, I'm already feeling overwhelmed. By having my first night stay already booked, I already feel grounded. I know I'm gonna go to someplace safe and grounded and firm. Check to see if your hotel offers a free airport pickup service, and that is just so that you don't encounter any stress or difficulty in finding your accommodations. Personally, if I have to choose between a guest house that offers airport service pickup and one that doesn't, I will choose the one that does, because I like to avoid taxis. I've also been in a situation where I've gotten lost trying to find a place, and the last thing I really enjoy doing is being a Sherpa to my bag, carrying it all around the city looking for the address of that place that I'm staying at. Some places can be very tucked away. Another thing I like to do is I also like to take down the directions or the phone number of the hotel in the case that pickup doesn't come. 2, I also like to have backup directions in the case I need to find it on my own. I like to have that option there. Number 3, travel light. Whatever country you're traveling or however you're getting around, it's always best to travel light. Traveling light helps make your journey a lot more manageable when you don't have to carry a lot of stuff with you. There are less things you have to worry about in losing or getting stolen, and it gives you more freedom to use public transportation. Buses or trains, they don't offer a whole lot of luggage room, and so traveling light or compact really helps you with peace of mind that you can fit your luggage into a compartment without having to worry about it not fitting. I always take this with me. This is like a carry-on convertible backpack, and I've already done a review. I love it. I love it. I'll put the link of the review or the video down below in my description box. When I pack, I try to lay everything out and I look at what I want to take. Then I try and whittle it down to at least 3/4 of this bag. I always try to leave at least 1/3 or 1/4 of this bag open and available for anything like last minute packing when I'm shoving things in. Usually when you're last minute packing, you're shoving things in, things don't fit, your items just kind of expand in your bag. Also, it gives me space to take on like souvenirs or, you know, junk food that I need to pack to get onto my next leg. One thing that's also helpful about taking a carry-on instead of regular luggage or regular backpacker's backpack is that there are going to be times when you need to use the bathroom and you've got no one to watch your luggage. That means you're gonna wanna have to fit this into that stall or even outside of it. Safety! Now, it's always best to leave your valuables at home. That's just rule number 1 in so many regards of packing. If you think you're gonna miss it, if it gets stolen, then don't bring it. These days, a lot of us bring very expensive kind of like tech gear, anything from smartphones to iPads, cameras, laptops. Those are valuables you don't wanna flash around. If you're gonna bring it out, always keep it close to you, guard it, protect it. I like to keep my valuables stashed in different parts of my bag. I also like to make it difficult for pickpocketers to get to. A lot of times they don't have that kind of time. They have to work very quickly. I know that a lot of travelers, when they're traveling as couples or as groups, they feel like they can go off into la la land. Solo travelers don't have that luxury. However, I have seen couples and people in groups get their items stolen as well. If you think about it, 2 is actually richer than 1. And a whole group, there's a lot more field to pickpocket from here, as well as there's a lot more distraction going on within the group. I will leave a link to my safety tips video down below in the description box. That's gonna be helpful. I offer a lot of good tips about keeping your valuables safe, as well as being aware of your surroundings, blah, 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 blah. Number 5, things you should prepare before you leave that hotel. Before leaving your hotel, always make sure that you have your maps, you have your bus route numbers or your metro stops, as well as your itinerary and the ways to get there mapped out for you. If you haven't, go to your front desk or your concierge, ask them to take out a map, mark it for you, different routes or the bus numbers to take to get there. Make sure that you have a visual idea in your head already before you leave, because once you leave, the last thing you want to do is be stressing out about finding your place there, whipping out your maps and getting all flustered. If I don't have online internet capabilities, like I didn't buy a SIM card or I don't have a data plan on my unlocked phone, then the night before I will Google Map the location and do a snapshot of it. For iPhone, it's just like ching. Then I have it already in my iPhotos on my smartphone, and that way I can always have this map to refer to, as well as like my regular map. Of course, this is going to be an easier one to refer to because it's like that small and you can like zoom in and zoom out of it. Oops, sorry. However, if you do have like an unlocked phone where you can switch in and out like the country SIM card and pay for a data plan, then it's always helpful to just like also know that you have Google Maps to access some of your, if you ever get lost. It'll help you find anything from the nearest restaurants to gas stations to Uber. If you need to find transit directions, it can help you to do that because there is a transit section. Along with Google Maps, I will also download any available or free metro maps for that city. I actually have like a little collection here. I usually try and delete my metro maps after I've visited the country, but a lot of these metro maps are offline. You can use them without having to have a data plan. Number 6, always let your friends or family know of your itinerary for your trip so that they can keep track of you in the case anything happens. Because I know my mom's always going to be worrying about me, I always like to send her my flight itinerary as well as my my regular travel itinerary of places I'm going to be at, hotels if I already know where I'm booked at, as well as how I might go about my trip. This gives her peace of mind, but it also is a backup in the case anything does happen to me and she can track me down. I also like to sign up for the Smart Traveler program. This is mostly for Americans, and it lets my country know where I'm going to be at in the case anything of national importance happens. Another thing is, because we're always on social media, a good thing to do is to kind of plot yourself in whenever you've reached your destination, or you know, when you're taking that selfie and post it to Facebook, you know, do a geocaching. Let people know where you checked in, or let people know where you've posted this from. You know, this also gives family and friends something to refer to in the case anything happens to you. Number 7, having confidence. If you're starting out as a solo traveler, there's a high degree you're probably not going to feel very confident in what you're doing. You know what? Fake it till you make it. And I've said this in my safety tips video. As a solo traveler, you're going to want to make sure that you look confident, like you know what you're doing, even if you don't. And that's because the person that looks confident is going to be the person that is not going to attract as much attention from pickpocketers or scammers. Number 8, exploring. Don't forget to explore. You might be traveling alone, you might be afraid of getting lost, but sometimes getting a little lost is part of the enjoyment. Allow yourself to get a little lost through the streets. Make friends, strike up conversations with people. When you need help or directions or you get lost, you're gonna need to put yourself out there. But because you're already doing it in that sense, it's all survival. It also leads into the social realm. This is where, as a solo traveler, you actually become a social traveler. Number 9, have a backup plan. Whatever your worst fear is, create a backup plan for it. One of my previous videos about the 10 things that could ruin any vacation, I mentioned making copies of important documents like passports. Always want to have extra passport copies. in the case that passport ever gets lost or stolen. I like to have them online as well, so I always kind of like upload a copy to Google Docs in the case something happens to my bag doesn't make it through the flight. Then I have those important documents online that I can access. Also, backup money. I like to have it in the case my credit cards or ATM cards don't work. I like to always have a backup plan with my family in terms of the worst case scenario. I know this is kind of morbid. I've seen news about travelers where, you know, they died abroad and their family had to bring them back home. And so now there's crowdfunding to bring their body back home, fly it home, and so that they can have a funeral. Now that's just a whole bunch of mess that puts excessive weight on the family and friends to have to afford something like that. And it's just kind of lack of planning, if you ask me. So these days, I kind of plan ahead. I have a death plan for my family and a course of action to take in case anything happens. If I do happen to die abroad, then, you know, I have them cremate me and then ship me back home in a box. I think it gives me a peace of mind in terms of the course of action I'm gonna take or my family's gonna take in, you know, dealing with the struggle, which will be their burden in the end. And number 10, smile. This is an obvious one, I think, because a smile is a universal language in friendship, acceptance, and openness. A lot of times people out there want to help you. They just need to know that you're a cool person, that you're good, you're not going to be harmful. A smile kind of like does open up a lot of doors in travel. So with that, hope I've given you enough tools to help you plan your first solo trip. Let me know down in the comment section below if this was helpful for you, if there's anything else you'd like to see. Also remember, I'll put the links to relative videos. Check it out down below. Until then, travel safe, smart, and fun. May the grrrl be with you.